known to all of you. He's a great guy, and the second rally this afternoon is actually named for his organization, but he's going to speak to you right now. Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America.
Hello, Virginia gun owners. It's good to see you here. I wanted to take a look at one specific measure that we're doubtless going to have to deal with in this session of the legislature, the so-called gun show loophole. Now, when we're talking in government centers, loopholes really only have one meaning, and that means they want to close off some of your freedom, or maybe all of it if they can argue the loophole big enough. They say that the gun show is where the terrorists and bad guys in general are able to get all the guns they want, and I'm sure you've seen them surely at the gun shows. All of those fellows that Osama bin Laden sent over, where else would they get their guns? So actually, if the gun show loophole is what causes crime, it seems to me then that cars cause speeding, pencils cause misspelling, and spoons made Rosie O'Donnell fat. A little takeoff on our t-shirt, which you're welcome to buy at gunowners.org. Are commercial announcements allowed on this non-profit? Anyway, it's interesting that even the infamous Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, in doing a study of gun shows and other sources of guns that had ended up being used by criminals in crime, sometimes referred to as crime guns, as opposed to all the other guns that didn't come out of the same mother and are not crime guns. These guns that are used in crime that come from gun shows apparently are well less than 1%. So closing the loophole is really not going to even touch the declining crime problem in America. Of course, what will touch it is what Mary Catherine was talking about. You end the cycle of violence when you end the violators. That's pretty simple. And there's been a question that's always puzzled me. If the gun show loophole, or indeed background checks in general, are the solution to the crime problem, and the Centers for Disease Control and the National Academy of Science both say nay, that the Brady Law has had zippo impact on crime. It's not a crime-fighting measure. Well, then it's really only good for one thing, and that's for registering your guns, because that's what they do when you and I fill out the 4473 at the gun show, at the gun store, wherever a dealer might be where we are buying a gun. And we're told that somehow that's going to be solving crime when we know it doesn't, and begging the question that if this is really such a cool thing, then how come a gun ban on an island in England has only resulted in more crime committed with more guns in the hands of more criminals? Doesn't seem like a good plan, and until they can answer how that happens, why should we even listen to them seriously about the need to close off the gun show loophole? They want to register guns. That's what this is all about. That's what they are after. They want to get rid of all private transactions. Privacy is only good for people committing abortion. It's not good for people exchanging firearms, apparently. Consider that in Hawaii and in Canada since the 30s, they've had handgun registration. And I'll tell you what, there's a real loophole there. They have not solved one crime with their registry. This is not crime fighting we're talking about. If we were talking about crime fighting, we'd be talking about getting rid of gun-free zones. We'd be talking about getting rid of the gun-free zone at Virginia Tech. Now, you notice... Yeah. There was a gun-free zone that didn't exist, much to the actually very temporary chagrin of a wannabe mass murderer in Colorado Springs at the New Life Church last year, about 13 months ago. He went into this church and he was loaded for bear, as we say. He was physically capable of taking down several hundred people, and they were all there. It's a huge, huge church. But something he hadn't counted on was also there. The 25-member self-defense team from the church that greeted him at the door. And he was down and out and assuming room temperature in 30 seconds. That's what we should do with gun-free zones. And then we won't have to worry about this red herring of a gun show so-called loophole, because the crooks will be dying faster than they can come up with new loopholes. What a thought. Killing criminals. Yes, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Well, then tell criminals to get another job. Actually, you know, they don't have any rights. When they have presumed to attack a victim, gonzo. So that's, I think, the law from time immemorial. I think we need to be resolved that we're going to tell the bureaucrats that somebody sitting in an armchair in an air-conditioned office deciding whether or not a member of the public, a peaceful citizen, can have a gun, and that must prove themselves innocent before they can transact something protected in our Constitution. That's just wrong. What the bureaucrats are really saying is that they can sit in judgment over who is worthy to protect their life, indeed, who is worthy to live. I would say we ought to be determining what bureaucrats are worthy to work in our employ, and certainly what politicians. That's really the issue. People that don't like free people, that don't really give a never mind whether you live or die, those people, to the extent they're not in office, should be ignored, and to the extent they're in office, as Ken Cuccinelli was saying earlier, we need to seek other avenues of employment for them. And we have that opportunity this coming November, and hopefully in between, we're going to tell the legislature effectively, stand down, chill out, we can take care of ourselves, and guess what? We're the first responders. We will be at the scene of the crime when a criminal attacks. Hopefully, we're going to be there with all of our rights, exercising all of our rights, and then hopefully everything turns out well. Thank you so much. God bless you, and have a good day here.